can't use the excuse that he didn't know the rules and didn't understand the law when he himself is a lawyer. So it's going to be hard for him to excuse himself.
I think you are right when you talk about the crime of hypocrisy. Even if he does get away with it, which I think he probably will, he's Teflon, it's the rank hypocrisy. A man who led an opposition week after week in Parliament saying we want harder and faster lockdowns, we want more draconian measures, skirting the rules. And the key point here, Steve, is Starmer, by his own admission, was deciding who.
Well, he's changed the CV. He's changed his LinkedIn. He's admitted that he made a mistake. The government have said that he will probably be
the police. But when I see Tweedledum and Tweedledee in that clip there, flashing their badge because they want to talk to a granny about something she's posted online, they make it really difficult for me.
Yeah, I think they make it difficult for most of us, Ben. Everyone knows that if you get burgled or your car is stolen or you want to report a mugging, it's actually quite hard to persuade the police to send anyone round to your house. They give you a crime reference number and tell you there's not much they can do, and if you're lucky, someone turns up, 3 or 4 days later. So for these two plainclothes officers to be dispatched to this grandmother's house, seemingly because the partner of this Labour councillor that she, as you say, was only very mildly criticising in a sort of community chat group. The partner of the Labour councillor in question complained to the police. God knows.
Keir Starmer's defence that he didn't understand the rules or the law falls flat, especially considering his background as a lawyer. How could someone who has held such a high legal position in the country claim to not know the very rules and regulations they're supposed to follow? It's a weak excuse, and even though he might escape legal consequences due to his powerful position, the hypocrisy surrounding his actions is undeniable. For months, Starmer was at the forefront of demanding stricter lockdown measures, calling for more severe restrictions and punishments for those who broke the rules. And yet, he is now facing accusations that he broke those very rules. The irony of the situation is not lost on the public, and it's causing serious doubts about his leadership and integrity. Starmer's own actions, coupled with the growing revelations surrounding his hypocrisy, have further fueled the backlash. For example, Starmer himself admitted to revising his CV and LinkedIn profile to better fit his political narrative, even acknowledging that some of his past claims were exaggerated. This raises serious questions about his credibility and transparency. If he's willing to manipulate his own professional history to advance his career, how can the public trust his positions on other matters, especially those as serious as public health policies? Moreover, investigations have revealed that Starmer may have breached COVID-19 regulations on multiple occasions, despite his vocal criticism of others for doing the same. The allegations against him have cast a shadow over his credibility and have left many questioning the true extent of his involvement in the breaking of lockdown laws. And as if that wasn't enough, there is now mounting evidence suggesting that Starmer personally blocked the release of critical documents that could potentially expose his role in these breaches. These documents, which were deemed confidential, could have offered transparency to the public, but instead, it appears Starmer used his influence to keep them hidden. This raises serious concerns about his level of accountability and his attempts to cover up the truth. In addition to these allegations, Starmer's actions have raised alarms about his increasing use of the justice system as a political tool. A particularly concerning incident involved 2 police officers visiting a grandmother, Helen Jones, simply because she made critical remarks about a Labour politician on social media. Helen, a regular citizen, had made comments about a local Labour councillor who had been embroiled in a scandal. The fact that her mild, non-violent criticism led to a police visit is both chilling and troubling. Why are the police being used in this way? Why are they spending their time investigating someone for expressing an opinion rather than focusing on real criminal activity? This incident highlights a worrying trend where citizens feel as though they are being policed for their political beliefs. Starmer's use of the police to intimidate and control public opinion raises serious questions about the state of free speech in the UK. The police are supposed to protect citizens, not act as a tool of political control. And yet, more and more examples are emerging of people being targeted for expressing dissenting views. One such case involved Jamie Michael, a former Royal Marine, who was charged after posting a video on social media criticising the government's stance on illegal immigration. Despite the video being peaceful and non-threatening, Michael was initially jailed, only to be acquitted by a jury. The case highlights the disturbing trend of the government using the legal system to punish people for their opinions, rather than focusing on more important matters. This is not an isolated incident. The number of cases where ordinary citizens are being targeted for their political views is growing, and it's becoming clear that there's a concerted effort to shut down any form of dissent. People are beginning to wonder whether Starmer's government is more interested in protecting its own image than in upholding the democratic rights of its citizens. Are we witnessing the rise of an authoritarian regime where free speech is no longer protected, and those in power can silence anyone who dares to disagree? The real question now is whether Starmer will face the consequences for his actions. His leadership is in jeopardy, and the public is demanding answers. Will he continue to hide behind legal loopholes and political manoeuvring, or will he take responsibility for his actions and restore trust in the political system? Only time will tell, but one thing is certain: the situation is far from over, and the pressure on Starmer is only growing.